Please rise, everyone. Councilman Lee, who's leave us the invocation, I'll do the pledge of allegiance.
Dear, let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day, this wonderful city, and this wonderful state that we live in. We also offer special thanks and gratitude to our group of folks that have fixed the splash pad. We thank you, O Lord, for all the talent and grace that you've given us in our city, as well as in our community. In your name, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please have a seat. Thank you everybody for being with us tonight. Everybody online also. All right, public comments. We have one person listed here, but they haven't shown up. If they do show up later, I'll let them speak to you. So go on to old business. I believe Councilman Lee, you have something for us?
Yes, sir. I'd like to add a point of information to our agenda for approval buyout portion, Crawford County Police Officer, item number 6.
Okay. I have a motion here, a second? Second. And a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign? It's unanimous. All right. The old business itself. So new business, first item is a contract approval for our technical Independence Day celebration. Councilman Wright and Director of Economic Development, Brian, please.
Yeah, Mayor, I believe this is roughly the same contract we signed for the 4th of July festival every year. Shandra, do you have anything specific you want to update us on?
I do not. This is the same application or agreement from previous years. City Attorney Tidings has reviewed it and agreed to the terms. It's just up for signature.
Mayor, I move that we would approve this contract and authorize you to sign the same.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All right, I'm going to call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We have a new contract.
I just had a question there.
Yes, sir.
Where are we going to shoot the fireworks from?
They will be shot from our parking lot. I'm not exactly sure the exact location. I do know that they've reviewed the specs for the location, and we are within range that we're not too close to any properties. So they will be shooting from the parking lot, which may mean we may have to close the offices a few hours early, because I do know that once they're here and setting up, we cannot be on the property, is my understanding. There will not be, we have to go over that a little bit more and find out what the timeline looks like for that. But we will have to notify the public that the office will not be able to be accessible, and we cannot be in the building.
Okay, thank you.
I know the employees will enjoy that.
It'll just be a few hours, not the whole day.
Y'all can all come to the church office and work. We'll have it open and available.
Or you can come
You're
to the
welcome
park
come over.
and help us get ready for the event.
Thank you. Get a pot of coffee, y'all come on.
Love that help.
Good. Thank you very much for that. Item number 3 is a resolution for Land and Water Conservation Fund pre-application and funding commitment. Councilman Wright and Director of Economic Development.
In your packet this evening, you have a resolution. This is part of a grant application that we are putting in. I'm going to let Ms. Bryant tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you. So the Department of, or the National Park Service through the Department of Interior has funds each year that they give out to states for the Land and Water Conservation Fund. In years past, this has been an every year application process. They have recently changed to now going to an every other year process. For this year, they are doing funding for 2022 and 2023 at the same time. They have a pot in Georgia alone that's $14 million for funding. We are in a good position to apply and possibly receive funds for some additional playground equipment at the park geared towards smaller age children, as well as some additional lighting for the park. So tonight I'm asking for approval of this resolution to allow for permission to go through the pre-application process. It is a very lengthy process for the entire grant. So the pre-application is due May 31st. We would not know until September if we're even approved to move on to the full application. The application then it would be due February 1st of 24, and awards would not come out until fall of 2024. From that point, there's 2 years from funding to completion of project. So we would have from 2024 to 2026 to complete any project. It does require a 50% match, but my hope is that with this much notification, we will be able to plan for the budget moving forward should we receive the funds. We have discussed $100,000 for the project, so we would be asking for a $50,000 grant with a $50,000 match from the city.
This resolution is pretty standard. We're not going to read it tonight. It just comes, I'm sure it comes from the language asked for as part of this application process. And this is just to even move ahead with the pre-application process. Nothing says
Right.
for the federal government, like require a resolution from the local government to begin the pre-application process to fill out the application to maybe get some money in 2024.
Right.
But
And it's the first line item.
I think that we should, I think we would adopt this resolution as it is written. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on it? I'm looking forward to this. I thank you for putting this together for us. Okay, call for the question. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay. Approved. I'll send it around for signature. Thank you. July 4th, number 4 here, July 3, 2023 floating holiday. And that's the day before we will have a July 4th celebration. No, sorry, that's July 4th, the day off. That's a Monday. We have a floating holiday authorized in our personnel manual. So I'm recommending that we approve with the floating holiday to be on July the 3rd, that Monday.
Second.
Yeah. Made a motion?
Do we have to vote on it, or can we just do this at our discretion?
We need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. That's fine.
Okay.
I think this is good, Mayor. You got to get stuff ready on Friday, cleaned up on Saturday, so they'll be out here late Friday, early Saturday working. So let's give them that Monday off.
I agree. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. It's approved.
Thank you.
All right. Mike's always working on this. All right, number 5 is approve, implement convenience fee online and in-office credit debit transactions. Councilman Wright and City County Harrison, please.
Yeah, Mayor, we discussed this 2 weeks ago, just as the use of credit cards and online fees and debit cards just becomes ubiquitous. The fees are getting larger and larger. I think we were saying earlier it's costing the city close to $100,000 a year in fees at this point, and most other industries have just begun to push that fee out to the customer rather than taking it on ourselves, that convenience fee, as it is called, as we see that on so many websites and things these days. So you have in your packet here some of the options that we have. And Carol, we've chosen one of these already. These are options that we're looking at, right?
We haven't chosen. This is really just recommendation and, really based on official code Georgia annotated. We cannot charge more than what we are charged. So with that said, if we decide to charge a percentage on the online, our average percentage charged is 2.375%. So we would implement that percentage or lower. On the in-office credit card terminals, the average charge is 4.62%. So we would implement that or lower for that. And I know there was some concern about that amount being a bit high. And as I emailed and recommended us charge the actual cost, that's really just consistent with the practice of municipal court, as they charge online or in office electronic payments. They charge what their actual fee is, and that's filters through directly to corporate, I believe. So that's really what my basis was for going with the actual cost.
Well, and the difference between the two then would be that the online credit card vendor and the in-house credit card reader are different They're different vendors, they charge different rates, that's why you have two different numbers that are being discussed, in case anybody is seeing that and wondering. So, Carol, just so I can make my motion clearly, which one of these options are we recommending? I'm looking here at the sheets you put in our packet.
Well, at the bottom, we talked about 2.5% at the very bottom. We cannot do more than 2.375% for the online taxes, which after, I think I did the sheet and then I went back and read that, so we just want to make sure that we are in compliance with Georgia Code 13.115, which basically states we cannot charge in excess of the actual cost. It also states that we are going to need to disclose this to the consumer, the actual dollar amount as they come up to pay, state that it's non-refundable, and also state that the fee is going to be charged for electronic payments. Those will have to be posted or verbally. Well, it really need to be posted, because I don't think we'll be able to verbally say that every single time someone comes into the office to pay with a credit card.
Sure. So, Mayor, at this time, I move that we implement a convenience fee that would equate to the actual cost of whatever our fees are on either platform.
I second it.
Okay, motion and second. Any further conversation, anybody?
Yes, so it was me who had an issue with the 4.5 or 4.62%. I did some research and found that the average credit card transaction fees across the industry range from about 1.5 to 3%, and no other city or even folks at the IRS are charging more than 3% fee to customers. And to me, I thought that the 4.5 or 4.62% was a very high amount to be passing on customers. And if we are being charged that much, I think we need to look into that. And we're not convinced that we need to pass that entire amount on to our customers. I would be more comfortable passing on a portion of that.
I think what we need to do, to your point, what we should do is adopt this rate that would allow us to charge the actual cost. And then maybe as a separate issue, look at getting a different credit card vendor. At least changing that. I don't know that is that an option for us. I don't know what our contract is like.
Yeah, well, right now we're using the terminals that we have. They have to have the chip readers.
Yeah.
That's something we have to transfer to. It's been a number of years, but in order that we would be protected from any type of fraud through the credit card process.
I don't think the machine is the issue, though. I think it is the contract with the actual credit card vendor. So is that something where we are under a contract with them for a while before we could change that?
You know, I have to go back and look at that contract, to be honest.
But to Carol's
It's
point,
something that's really been in place.
Typically, that's the way that goes. They give you the machine, but you have to sign a contract to have them for a certain amount.
I mean, it's something that probably renews each year. It's not something that we bring out and sign. It's just, we're
to
using
Carol's
the
point, the
machine.
statute says you can do actual cost so that you break even. You cannot make a profit or loss, and you have to tell them what the amount's going to be, which they can see that when they're doing their transaction. But they still have the option of coming here, paying by check or cash, and having no fees. And we still have a fair amount that do actually come through the window into the lobby. So the ones that are paying online or by credit card in here are definitely for convenience.
And there's a sunk cost to any of those payment methods. You know, you have to pay for checks when you get them from the bank. You have to buy a stamp if you're going to stick it in the mailbox. There's a cost for all of it. It's a lot less work to use that debit card and do them online. It's a lot less steps, and so it does cost a little bit more. But I agree with Councilman Byrd that if we can look into getting a better rate, let's at least research that.
Yeah, we
option
can
for sure.
try to see where we
So-
can get a different rate at. But to your point, and we have been doing this for years, I believe, at municipal court, their rate is 4% in office, 5% online. And really not out of the norm. 4.62% is really not out of the norm.
And that's why it's just nobody that I looked at. I looked at Warner Robins, I looked at the county, and I looked at that's Georgia Department of Revenue and the IRS, and none of them surpassed the 3%. But my question then would be, what would need to be done if we were able to negotiate a lower rate? What would need to be done to
Just come back and amend it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's why I think you don't have to amend it. If you adopt the actual cost, you don't have to amend it.
that's true. You don't.
You just change the cost. So that's two separate issues.
You start where
My
you
preference
are
would
when
be
it goes
to adopt an ordinance that would let us just charge the actual cost for the credit card machines and then go out and see about getting a cheaper credit card machine. I think we can do both of those things without
It
having
would
to.
be the provider, like I said, credit card machine
So
is
you-
there, but the provider,
Okay.
We could probably ask Warner Robins, but we.
Well, you would actually, if you adopt the actual cost, if we get a lower rate, you're actually adopting whatever the rate is, depending on what provider you use, so we wouldn't need to amend it.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's no problem with that. Okay. Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, call for question, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, it passes. And we're down to number 6.
Okay, so, this is with, Chief Duncan. We'll talk to you a little bit about our point information.
Good evening, Mayor Council. Due to the fact that a lot of officers are getting hired by agencies and sent to mandating, getting certified, and leaving the agency after their certification date, there was a law that was signed stating that officers have to stay with the agency for 2 years after all this formal specialized training is completed. Due to that fact, I have an officer who has worked 1 year in Crawford County. He's dissatisfied there, wants to come to work in Centerville, which is on the contract. His actual contract as of Monday was $12,158.83. I met with Attorney Titus and Ms. Harrington on the amount what the law would allow us to pay to help him get out his contract, and that total would be $6,303.60, with the officer having to pay the balance to get out of the contract. I'm willing to absorb that out of my budget this year because I have the extra funds in it under my personnel 57-1000 that I can do that immediately. But I have to wait till the officer is able to come into an agreement with the county of Crawford to get their payment for the rest of the funds, which is going to be $5,800. And if he can come up with it, I would like to go ahead and buy our portion of the contract, and he can go into a civil agreement with the city of Crawford County to pay the funds back whenever he's able to get that situated.
A brief overview of the statute is that if an agency hires an officer away from another agency within periods of time, so less than 15 months after completed formalized mandated training, then you owe the entire cost of their training, including the salary pay. If it's 15 to 24 months, you owe half of it. In this case, he's been there 12 months, so we would be paying the 408 hours times his hourly wage for the cost of mandate training. In some cities are requiring the officers to sign a contract, an acknowledgement of the statute, and a contract, and they list what the cost will be. The contract, our duty to pay is statutory on request by the sheriff in Crawford County if he requests that we reimburse. The contract is a contract that the actual officer signs with the training agency, training and initial hiring agency. And what triggers our duty is the sheriff requesting payment under the statute of the cost for training. And then I guess the officer would also need to see, that's what the chief was referring to, if Crawford County would then be willing to deduct what the city of Centerville paid under the statute, leaving the officer either with the balance to be paid or Crawford County saying, no, we're not going to charge you that. And that would be between them. It would be outside the contract. We've run into this a couple other times, and we have one agency that not only wanted us to pay, but was not gonna give the officer credit for what the city paid, and that officer ended up not coming. This one I think is more favorable, but what we did, Carol and I landed on was that we probably should get approval for this from the council, with the chief has already identified to you with the line item that the money would come from in the amount of $6,336.60. So what he's asking for is approval to reimburse Crawford County under the statute, should the officer be able to negotiate something satisfactory so that he can come to work here. And the chief, that's what we all discussed this morning in my office.
So we're gonna come out of pocket $6,000 and some change so that he can leave there, right? Is that where?
And he will be up on the contract with us for another 2 years.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna ask. Is there a callback for us? That
Yes, he'll be on contract with us.
Okay. Essentially the same agreement where he'd be on the hook for.
Well, no, we wouldn't be sending him to mandate training, so we could hire him and ask him to sign some kind of contract with us that he would stay a certain amount of time in light of what we paid.
Well, that's what I'm asking. If for some reason he decides he has to leave, even if it's
We have a contract.
even if it's not his fault, if he's moving or something happens, he's gotta make a change. Then we're not.
We have a contract.
Yes.
I drafted that 5, 8, 10 years ago. Something like that.
Good contract.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So the
So-
officer is responsible for the remainder of his contract.
That's between him and Crawford County.
So Mayor, I make a motion that we approve this buyout portion for the Crawford County Police Officer using the funds identified by Chief Duncan.
Second.
Motion and a second. You have any discussion? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. It's approved, chief. Good luck getting it.
Sir.
Leave.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do.
All right, comment from council. Post one.
I don't really think I have anything today.
Post two.
I'll just say, Mayor, that by my watch, we spent almost 6.5 minutes tonight talking about a credit card fee that equates to a few dollars, and not any minutes talking about the nearly $1 million shortfall in the proposed budget, or where that money could or is going to come from, or what we might cut out of it to make that whole. So I hope we begin to have some of those discussions because the clock's ticking. Thank you. Go forward.
Okay, so certainly like to again thank our public works folks for going out there and making sure that they did their very best at getting the splash pad back up. I just drove by there; it is already packed. Tons of families are out there enjoying it, and so that is really great news again. Certainly, I know as we're getting ready for the 4th of July holidays and observance, we still have some farmers markets coming up. And other activities, and we do encourage the community as well as our neighbors to come and support our different events and activities hosted here in the park. The dates and locations and times can be seen on our website. I'd also like to congratulate big congratulations to our newspaper reporter writer, and recently getting married. Congratulations. We really, it was really neat. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't hear about it. Congratulations. Outstanding, yeah. I know you're embarrassed about it, but I'm the only one on camera, I think, right now, so. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Oh, I was gone for last 2 weeks on vacation. My wife takes me on vacation every year. Usually I get away with 1 week, but she only did 2 weeks this time. It was Councilman Curry took my place, and thank you so much. You did an outstanding job. I heard a lot of compliments about it, so thank you for doing that. And hope everybody's doing well. Have a great weekend coming up.